Welcome back, everyone, to another season of Water Polo Wednesday. If you haven't heard of us before, we like to have a lot of fun. We cover the collegiate water polo scene. This season will be all about the women's collegiate water polo as well as the men's national league that's kicking off. It's going to be a very exciting spring with so much water polo to talk about. We're going to talk about and go into depth on the different conferences today, as well as the schedule and overarching groups for the men's national league. The women's season has a number of tournaments we're going to talk about, and we have an incredibly special guest. You'll have to wait till the end, however, to see who it is. We're pumped to be back. It's the start of the women's NCAA water polo coverage right here on Water Polo Wednesday.
Welcome back to Water Polo Wednesday with Wes and Clay.
I'm Wes.
I'm Clay. You thought we wouldn't do it. Maybe you thought we would do it, and you're right. We're doing it. Here we are again, back from a break, start of women's season. Yes, we are covering women's season, and the start of the USA Water Polo National League for men. Wesley, let's get an overview of the women's conferences. Kick us off.
Man, I am so excited about this. First off, Clay, this has never been done before. We're breaking ground here. Like, we're setting a new trend. We're so excited to be bringing you updates and news about the women's water polo world, the collegiate women's water polo world specifically. I had phone call conversations with the athletic directors this past week at Stanford and Cal. I'm going to be now commentating on some of the women's games.
Attaboy. I was waiting for that.
I am just, you know what? Like, let's go. Let's grow the sport. Let's pump this up. I'm so excited for this. It's such an exciting spring. There's going to be more water polo this spring between the men's and women's programs than we've ever seen. And on the women's side, all the women who took the year off for Olympics are now back. And the talent level and the competition is going to be the highest I think we have ever seen.
Wes. I know you're excited, man. This is on it. If the world only knew the directions that you've been going during this break, they wouldn't believe it. I don't believe it, but I'm your friend, so I believe you. But let's get back into conferences here, like we were before. Just to help break down the picture, what is the landscape of women's water polo? We have similar conferences, but maybe different teams and certainly different athletes and people to look out for. We'll start with the Big West. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I'm pumped about this. We'll do Big West if that's okay, and the MPSF.
Okay.
You know, the break kind of certainly recharged my batteries, maybe overcharged them. So I'm raring to go. So the MPSF, like on the men's side, the conference has dominated the NCAA title kind of reign, if you will, but it's very different than the men's in that there aren't any of those D3 teams. So the MPSF Women's Conference consists of 7 very highly competitive D1 teams, including, our known commodities here of Cal, Stanford, UCLA, and USC. It also includes San Jose State, ASU, who's been very good, and Indiana, who joined the conference a few years back. Now, obviously, we're going to cover these teams a lot this year. Given that I'm doing a lot of the commentating for that conference, we're not going to go too deep into that on this one. Stanford brings back somebody that we know very well. We love her, Ryan Neuschel, going for her 4th NC2A title. And it's a big deal. If there's someone who's capable of taking over a game, it's absolutely her. Now, UCLA brings back a very special goalie in Lauren Steele. Arguably the best goalie in the country. When they went undefeated her freshman year as a true freshman. This woman is playing a different game than it seems like everybody else. Like, she's seeing the entire play before it happens and is right where she needs to be because she kind of already knows. So I can't wait to watch her play her sophomore year. There's a lot to unpack in this conference, but for now, that's it. We'll dive in more soon, I promise. And we'll go to the Big West now. So the Big West, again, a very competitive conference. This should be really fun to watch and see play out, much like the Big West on the men's side. Hawaii won it last year, which they're only a women's program. They received the 2 seed in the NC2A tournament. And then the rest of the conference consists of Davis, Irvine, Northridge, Long Beach, Fullerton, San Diego, and Santa Barbara. This group feels really muddled, right? Irvine, Long Beach, San Diego were all solid last year, very talented teams, very well coached. We know Coach Klatt very well at UCI, always been at the top or near the top for a long time now. Hawaii, Clay, I think we should go see some of their home games. I think, we should probably figure out how to pay for that. Who doesn't want to play water polo in Hawaii? They were very good last year. They lost their frankly, the best player in that Big West Conference, and Bia Diaz to UCLA, the transfer portal there. She ended up at UCLA, so we'll have to figure out who's next up at Hawaii. Plus, they have a new coach who's in his very first year, James Robinson, his first year ever of being a head coach starting this season. So I think it's going to be very interesting how he handles it, the responsibility of leading a team, how UCI adapts and Long Beach adapts and San Diego. I know San Diego also brought on Sarah Lizotte, who's a very good player, one of the best in the country, and she as an assistant coach there. So I'm sure she can't wait to dig in and put her fingerprints on that team. She's a very knowledgeable woman. And so I really can't wait for this conference. Any team in this conference could make a run for the title in the Big West this year with how fluid these rosters have become year over year, right? There's just more turnover than we've ever really seen, which means teams change more drastically typically every single year.
Right. Yeah. We're seeing how teams can change also on the men's side. So to see how that plays over the women's side, and for both you and I mean, I think you having married a collegiate women's player out of Michigan, halfway more, you know a little bit more about the women's system than I would, and I'm very excited to get more entrenched and knowledgeable about that scene and that competitive landscape. Let's go on to the GCC. What's going on there?
Yeah, so on the women's side, there's the Gold Coast Conference. On the men's side, it's the West Coast Conference. So the women are in the GCC. LMU went undefeated in conference play last year, but lost to Fresno State in their conference championship game. And we saw this quite a bit, right? We saw this quite a bit.
Heard of this happen before.
Right? This happened a couple of times this year already on the men's side of it. So they're not immune to this having a great regular season. They got to come to play at the end of the season. So alongside Fresno State and LMU, you've got CBU, Azusa Pacific, San Diego State, Pacific, coached by Coach Graham there, Santa Clara, and Concordia. Fresno and LMU, both very good again this year. They don't lose a lot of talent. Not a lot of transfers out. They're going to reinforce some of their positions like of need with their freshmen, I think. Both coaches very good. Ikaika over at LMU has done a very nice job bringing that program up. Kind of both up and coming coaches, if you will. And both teams are very talented. Very excited to see how this plays out. We're going to get a little bit of that action early on in the season with some of the tournaments out at the Polo Palooza there out in Fresno.
Yep, love it. Yep. Love all this. Let's swing over to the east side. Yep. We've got the CWPA and MAAC conferences.
Yeah, so the CWPA and the MAC. In the CWPA, Princeton and Michigan, Brown, Harvard, St. Francis, and Bucknell. I've been to Bucknell. It's a random fact that nobody really cares about, but it's a very nice pool. Princeton and Michigan seem to always be there at the end every season. Both have had some superstar players for them. Obviously, Betsy Armstrong at Michigan, Ashley Johnson at Princeton, both Olympic goalies. Right now, Princeton has Jovana Sekulic, who was with our Olympic team this last year. They also bring back CWPA Player of the Year, Kayla Yelensky, and first team Rachel Carver. We'll be talking to Rachel Carver at some point this season. Carver, as a side note, has an older sister who played at USC, a younger sister who just committed to USC, and a father who played at USC. So I'm very excited to learn on how and why she would pick Princeton, which good for her for being a little more independent. All of them are from Laguna Beach. And so, some genetics there. We talk about that a bit. The CWPA is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I'm very excited for that season. I do feel like it's going to take a lot to knock off that Princeton team, but hey, that's why we play the game. You got to come to play. We'll do a breakdown on that conference later this season as things heat up. Obviously, we don't see them quite as much, but excited to see kind of the results and talk to some of the players later on this season.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. I'd actually never heard that conference before. The MAC.
Yeah.
Return of the MAC. I'm sure that's been done before. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, so last year, Wagner dominated this conference. They had a play-in game versus Biola in the NCAA tournament, the D3 winner. Wagner went undefeated in conference play. They look solid again this year. But look for Marist. Marist always is pretty crafty, well coached. They're good. They push them to the brink. 1-goal game in last year's conference championship. So look, it's interesting, right? These conferences, you go through your conference, you go undefeated, and you're thinking, well, we've beaten everybody. We should be able to beat everybody again. And it's just not the case. To go to a 1-goal game, kind of a last-minute play just to win, I mean, just shows you how close these conferences are. LIU, also very solid. A lot of returning players there. So excited about that Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. We'll refer to it as the MAC Conference from here on out because it's a mouthful. But, what's so exciting is all these conferences are very, very competitive within their conferences, which provide for some great games top to bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Wes. Here we go. This is going to be a really exciting season. Cannot wait to cover it. Season kicks off this week. And talk to us about some of the upcoming games that we can watch out for.
Yeah, so a ton of tournaments the first few weekends, right? Right out of the gate. And, Beach Invite at Long Beach is a big one. Polo Palooza, the aforementioned Polo Palooza out at Fresno. The ASU Invitational out in Arizona. I mean, look, I think it's really exciting. Everybody goes into action immediately, and so we'll get a feel for where everybody kind of starts the season. Again, not always how they end the season, but certainly where teams are as they start the season. And very excited. We'll give you recaps on those tournaments next week once those tournaments wrap up and talk about some of the strengths and weaknesses of some of the teams, maybe dive in deeper. As we transition out of that, however, we do want to talk about the National League. So we're going to talk about now, since we've recapped the start of the women's season here, we're going to talk about the Men's National League coming up this spring right after this.
And welcome back. Okay, so let's talk now about the USA Men's National League. Holy cow, Wes, you have been in the thick of it.
Yeah.
Talk to us about how this year is actually drastically different than previous years.
Yeah. So, Clay, you and I have been part of the National League since its inception. It's been 9 years for us. Players as coaches, as GMs, and whatever it may be. So we've been a part of this for a very long time. Historically, it's been like 6 teams, and it has been USA teams and then men's teams. Your New York, LA, Olympic Club, and then there'd be yours Riptides in it, or Channel Cats, or Alumni. I think Commerce was in it 1 year.
Yeah, I think
Power was in it 1 year, right? So it's continued to morph. However, with the new rules now implemented by the NCAA, players in college can now participate. They can't be coached by their college team unless they're in their specific 20 hours. We won't get into the details of that. But what it's done is it's opened up an opportunity for more teams and more play. Now, that sounds exciting to most of you, but as an old, aging, decrepit old man that I am, it sounds very unexciting. But that being said, I know that a lot of the athletes are very excited. These young professional athletes, if you will, the ones that are working just out of school, are excited to have an opportunity to continue to compete at a very, very high level.
Yeah, that's been the interesting and kind of tricky part of the National League in years past due to NCAA restrictions of players being in a collegiate season or even just in a scholastic period, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be in season or playing. If they're in an academic period, can't be playing. Even if they finish their season, they're kind of in between years, but it's still whatever. So that opens up a massive playing field for these teams, at least for the players that aren't going to be playing with their university if their college club is not competing in National League itself.
Yeah.
So talk to us on that about what the teams are looking like and the division structure that's different this year as well.
Yeah, so I'll take a step back a bit because this is very different and it's taken a lot of work. And I think what's been amazing about this is that everybody outside of USA Water Polo has come together to make this happen. Your coaches at these different universities, that are going to be a part of this league have had to kind of set aside a lot of their own normal routine to make this happen for the players and to bring this together. It is hosted by USA Water Polo. So that's, big deal there. But certainly without these coaches and these athletes, this just doesn't happen. And it's an incredible opportunity. Guys like Jack Coker, who's part of the academy development, has leaned in to make this as as good as possible for his academy teams, his junior teams, his youth teams. We've had, Adam Wright at UCLA and Pinta at USC and across every conference, right? And so I know Tom Davis is the commissioner. I feel like I bug him every single day asking him for updates on what's going on. We talk a lot and things change all the time. It's a real true labor of love, as so many things are in this sport. But at the end of the day, the vision here, and he's going to be a guest here on the show in a few weeks as this thing kicks off. We feel very, very proud and to have the opportunity to break kind of the conferences and the high level schedule to the world is a real big opportunity. And so a lot of gratitude goes to all of those coaches, all the players, and all the people that are just involved in helping bring this together, because it takes a village. It takes so many people to make this happen.
Village with a lot of chiefs.
A lot of chiefs, but everybody's run around a little bit to just try and make this happen because we love this sport. We really do. And again, it's been great partnership with guys like Tom, with guys like Coker, and to make this possible for players who are, I think, 30, 35, all the way down to 17, 16-year-old kids. And it's a really amazing opportunity, one that I had growing up with Premier League. You had it as well. And as well as when I was playing in Hungary as a 16-year-old, I was playing against 35-year-old men and 28-year-old men. So that to me is a huge opportunity. If nothing else, we're helping grow the sport. We're helping provide opportunity for the youth. And truly, we hope this thing grows. So I'll get off my soapbox here.
It was a good soapbox.
Well, I appreciate that, my man. All right, so here are the groups as we know them today. You've got LA Athletic Club, UCLA, USC, LMU, UCSB, LBSU, that's Long Beach State, and Channel Cats in what's called the SoCal North. I try not to be too critical of the names. On the other side, we got SoCal South. You've got UCI, UCSD, New York Athletic Club, Cal Baptist University, O Club, Sunset Men, and the USA junior team. And so it gives you an idea here of kind of, hey, there's a lot of teams. This thing has grown from, 6 teams, four clubs and 4 USA teams, or 5 clubs and 2 USA teams, to now having 2 groups of 7 and 14 total teams. Now, who knows what's going to happen here? You got a lot of talent. It's hard to predict. But we're just so excited for this, like the opportunity to compete with these college players, these high-level players, with the USA players from the national teams. Man, this is going to be fun. I'm going to be on the call for a number of these games. I'm probably going to lose it, man. It's so exciting to see this amount of talent and this level of play. We've just never had this before.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see these teams here coming together in this kind of format. I don't think we've really touched on like the schedule side of things. Love to hear a little bit about that part too.
Sure. Yeah. So the schedule right now, this is malleable. It may change. Right now, weekend 1, February 7th, 8th, and 9th. Those games will be in Irvine. The pools are being finalized now. Weekend 2, February 21st, 22nd, 23rd. Those games will be LA and then TBD. I'm told the LA games right now will be probably at USC. Again, things can change. Weekend 3 is March 8th and 9th. And weekend 4 is March 22nd and 23rd. Again, those dates, I know the February dates are pretty locked. The March dates, we're waiting on finalization as they fill out the rest of the schedule. Championship weekend is locked. April 25th, 26th, and 27th out at Mount Sac. I got to tell you, if you've never been there, it's a tremendous aquatic facility. That pool is incredible. I cannot wait to be there. I'll also tell you that, hey, if you can get out to some of these games, there's some big games with some unbelievable talent. There's a lot of rivalries that go on in this thing. And so it is exciting to watch as this thing unfolds. And so these are the play dates that we have. We're confident of these dates, though, again, everything is subject to change. Be sure to stay tuned. We'll continue to release more information as we have it, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, and you said you're going to be covering some of these games as well, your budding announcing career.
I gotta tell you, man, I'm having so much fun.
You can tell.
Yeah, I mean,
it's great.
I just feel like
do more.
It's such
more.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We talked about it last season. The feedback has just been tremendous. I feel so honored to have the opportunity. And guys like Greg Mescal have helped me a ton. He's been around the sport for so long. He's now the head of media, I believe, at USA Water Polo. Good for him. Good promotion for him. Kevin over at Overnight will be doing the streaming, not only of the MPSF women's, but also of the National League. Yep. Tons of water polo content going to be available for people all in one place, which I think is fabulous. I think our sport needs all that content in one place so we can all watch it. I just feel like I've grown up a ton in the last 6 months, but I have so much more to do. I'm just scratching the surface on what's possible for us, Clay, not only with the podcast here, but with announcing and the sport itself. I feel like we're still in our infancy, and I feel like we're at a rocket ship, kind of an inflection point where we're starting to really get some attention, and we're kind of shaking on the platform, and it's going to be a little rough in the beginning, but once we take off and we start flying, I just can't wait to see where this thing goes.
Then it's a smooth ride to the moon. When the shaking
never smooth, but exciting. Yeah.
That's amazing. This is going to be a very, very busy and very, very exciting spring season for us. And finally, now that we've concluded this National League section, we'd love to introduce our guest for this episode. Bringing it back to the women is the very talented and successful UCLA goalie, Lauren Steele.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back, everyone. We are joined by an extremely special guest. Lauren Steele is here, the reigning champ, a freshman, now a sophomore at UCLA. Lauren, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's wonderful to kind of kick off the women's season. We're so excited to be covering this, and the fact that you're kind of our first guest of the year of the women's season is huge for us. You had an incredible freshman year, a fairy tale freshman year, if you will, winning a national championship as a goalie. Talk to us. What was that like as in your first year in college? You know nothing other than being the champ.
I mean, it was pretty special. Not much to say. Like, it was not losing a game. Like, not losing a game in my college career yet is still something that I haven't really fully gotten used to. But yeah, it was something that like I wanted to go in there and win and make an impact, but it's also like it was a dream, and then actually going in and being able to make that impact and adjust to the team was just amazing. Yeah.
And your road to making that impact was a very unusual one for our sport. You spent your final 2 years of high school at OLU, but prior to that, you're from Greenwich, which, full transparency, that we just don't see that a lot. To come in 2 years at OLU, coming from East Coast, and starting your freshman year as a goalie. We talked to Kirk Everest at the end of the men's season, and he went on to say that the goalie's the toughest position to play your freshman year. I mean, Lauren, what do you think makes you so different? Because this is just such a unique thing.
I think, I came out to California my freshman year of high school, and I kind of just had like this passion for water polo. I always wanted to play water polo in Southern California, and it's something that I've kind of just let take me throughout my high school and now college career. That's been like really special. I don't know. I think work ethic, making yourself available, trying to just go to as many things that you can, whether that's like national team things, high school. I started out at the 6-8 Academy, with Tony. Yeah, with Tony. And then once we were able to do the online school at OLU, that's what made it possible for me to keep staying out here, because my parents lived in the East Coast. So it was kind of like, I didn't know if I was going to have to move back and if I was able to keep staying out here, but like the support of people letting me stay at their houses and whatnot, made it possible for me to just keep the train rolling.
The community is the reason, part of your success.
Totally.
That's support. So looking forward, right? The team has changed. It's a different team every year. The thing about college is you graduate people transfer in or out. I mean, some people leave the team. Where do you see this team being better, and maybe where do you see this team needing to kind of improve?
Yeah. I mean, obviously we lost some fifth years and some seniors, but we've also gotten two of our players back who were taking the year off, Emma Lineback and Sienna Green, who are going to be huge for us. And then also like integrating our freshmen. We have a lot of new freshmen who I can relate. I was just in their shoes, like not just a few months ago, that I think they're going to be, it's a strong class and they're going to have to go out there and compete. So it's different, but I also think the things that worked for us last year, it's really important to integrate them again, and our culture and having, our goal again is to win a national championship. So yeah.
Love it. Thank you again for being on here. Very special opportunity. You mentioned the culture. What is the UCLA women's team culture?
I think just like how we treat everything as if it's a game. We have one training that's like 3.5 hours long, and it's like when we're there, we're immensely dialed in. It's like our swim sets, my training as a goalie. We try to make it so much, that you're so tired that by the time you're in the game, it's like, this is easy.
Yeah.
And I think kind of the mentality of our coaches, Adam Wright and Jason Fallitz, are really just like super hardcore, that we know that we're kind of prepared for anything, that our details are what mattered, that nothing that another team throws out at us is something that we're not prepared for.
Is that something you had to adjust to at all, or do you feel like you were at home?
It was definitely an adjustment, but it was something that I was expecting and I wanted. I think what was huge for me last year is like going in with confidence that, okay, we do this at practice every day. Like I know exactly what defense I need to call from the team. We face, situations like this. That's what like gave me experience in the more and more games that we played, that I knew I was going to be able to be successful.
Yeah. And then going back to the start, you mentioned about going to Southern California to play water polo being a dream of yours and a goal. Where does that seed take place for you? Like, not everyone's dreaming about Southern California playing water polo coming out of Connecticut.
Yeah. Well, my older brother played water polo, and I kind of just like wanted to be better than him in a way. It was a little competition in the beginning.
Coming out, okay.
Yeah. And then I was, at the Greenwich Aquatics, and we would always go out for tournaments, whatever, JOs, club championships, and then also different ODP things. And every time I would come out here, I was like, this is so much fun.
This is the mecca.
And just,
this
like,
is where
the connections I made with people, the friends I made, I would like, be texting them back home in the East Coast, like, it's cold here. What's the weather there? Whatever it was. And then so once COVID happened, that was actually like the real opportunity that I had to go out to California. And I started at, the 6'8" Academy, and then I just kind of never looked back.
Yeah.
So you started your freshman year of high school playing water polo?
So I was at Greenwich, actually playing water polo.
Yeah.
No, I started at like 10.
Okay. It sounds like maybe you'd started like when you came out here. It's obviously a different game necessarily, like a little bit different. But okay, so you've been playing for a couple of years, and then you always had your sights set on UCLA. Like, was this something you bought a UCLA cap when you were 10 that you wanted to do, or like how did that manifest for you? Because I think a lot of the people who listen, they've got high school athletes that are wondering about this recruiting process. It seems to be something we get asked about all the time. I'd love to hear about your journey. Was it something you targeted, or how did this all transpire for you to end up at UCLA?
Yeah, I think like all the top California schools were kind of in my brain. And I don't remember this, but my mom says that when I was in middle school, I was like talking about UCLA one time, and she was like so confused how I knew what UCLA was or knew so much about it. But I think just like, through the water polo community, I knew what the top schools were. And then once I like learned more about the program of UCLA, I committed really early. I just knew like the intensity, the girls that were there were girls I wanted to play with, and it was just like kind of a clear path for me. Also, like as a goalkeeper, you know, it lines up like in recruiting, you have to kind of think who are the goalies ahead of me, and like it lined up really nicely that I would go in freshman year and be able to play. Well, as a senior, then be able to play, which then came later because at first I committed and then later on decided that I was going to graduate early. But yeah, UCLA was a school that I was always really drawn to, and kind of like the LA vision, I would say, as coming from the East Coast.
LA party town, LA. Everybody loves LA. It's just it's Hollywood. It's great. Clayton can attest to the Hollywood nature. Not everybody. Well, talk about this. Like you mentioned, like you're coming in as a goalie. It's a long season for a goalie. You didn't give up many goals last year. In fact, you gave up only enough in the sense that you didn't lose a game. So you did a heck of a job. Talk to us how you stay clear-headed day in and day out. Those 3.5-hour workouts every week. And what it takes as a goalie. Because as you mentioned, you're the only one in the pool who's a goalie. You're the only one who's facing that direction all game. And it can be lonely. It can be tough. And would love to get some insight on what you think and what goes through your head and all that good stuff. Can you share a little bit about what that's like to stay focused as a goalie for an entire season?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough, like you said. I think it's just taking it like one practice, one game at a time, and also like not really dwelling on the past. If you're in the goal and you let a goal in, you got to just be like, it's next. We're going on the next play. Yeah. Because you can let in like, a bad goal, but then you can still have a great game. And also like as a goalie, I think your teammates really look back at you, and like if you're kind of, freaking out in the cage there, they might get a little nervous. So it's really important just stay focused. I like to say kind of like remember my why I'm doing this, why I love water polo. And so if you have a bad training, it's like it's okay. There's gonna be better ones in the future.
I love it. It's such a unique position. I mean, I always admire goalies because you have to do so much, and it's like these bursts of 20 seconds. And then you're just kind of hanging out, and you're that last line of defense, and everybody does turn around. Every time there's a goal, you turn around and see if it goes in a lot of the time. And how you respond, your body language, I think is what you're saying, is hugely impactful, influential to how your team plays maybe the next couple of possessions. Because certainly if you're feeling it and you're upset, it's going to impact them. So a true leader position of having to lead from the front, not get rattled. I mean, Clay, we get rattled in the field all the time, and it's remarkable. It is remarkable.
Unfortunately, but yes.
Yeah.
Can't afford a goalie to get rattled. Field players can go in and out a little bit. Goalies cannot skip a beat. Lauren, who has been, I hesitate to say the most influential, but some of the most influential coaches or mentors that you've had that have instilled these beliefs, this internal culture that you have, your why, your competitive drive. Who would you attribute that to?
I definitely say Tony Azevedo. He was like, when I came out to California, one of my first coaches, and I was living at the academy, so I was seeing him every day. And also his father, Rico. They're super influential people.
We know Tony and Rico quite well. So yeah.
Uncle Rico. And then also my high school coach, Brenda Villa, 4-time Olympian. And she was like very empowering for me, I think. And then we won CIF my junior year. So that was also a great journey that I went through with her. And then I knew Adam Wright through like Tony also. So that kind of like was a segue for like recruiting. And I knew what kind of coach he was, and that he was, he loves to win, and that's the goal. Yeah. So that was
amazing. All right. So one more question for you. Last year was an Olympic year. A number of Olympians took the year off of collegiate water polo. They're all back now. Ryan Newshall and Angel Romer. I know Emily Osmus, obviously at USC, though she's a freshman. How does that change things for you, if at all? And what would you say is the team that you're looking at going, all right, this is that team that we've got to take down this year? Usually there's one or two that you're focused on. Does that change anything for you, or is it very much the same process and continuing to improve every day?
I think it is the same process as it was last year, but it's also like very exciting. And obviously last year they were off in training and we were, missing them from that college competition. So it's just like I said earlier, a new challenge, something to look forward to. They're all amazing players, so I'm really excited to have them root against me and compete against them and kind of get after it. So yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Amazing. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for the time. This has been phenomenal. Again, our first ever female guest. We love that you're here, and couldn't be more excited about this. Is there anything you'd like to say or share before we kind of cut this off and let you get back to your homework?
Not much. Super excited to be here. Excited for this season. It's a whole new year. It's going to be super fun. I know, last year was an Olympic year, so this year we got a whole new level of competition, and I just think it's a really exciting challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Lauren, thank you again. Wonderful to have you. Good luck this season. We'll be rooting for you. I think I'll be actually commentating on some of your games up here at Stanford and Cal this year. So we'll get to hopefully meet you first in person, but see you play firsthand. And very excited, stoked for the success you've had. Congratulations thus far. As we say, better, never best. Have a great season and good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah.
There you have it. Season 2, episode 1, wrapped. Here we go. I don't know how many episodes there are going to be of this season. We'll find out.
We said this last time.
What that looks
like.
It sounds familiar. This feels familiar territory.
Yeah. Well, Clay, thank you. We're excited for this. We hope all of you have enjoyed this. Be sure to spread the word. It's the first time ever there's been a full podcast dedicated to the women's collegiate water polo programs and their season. So we're very excited to bring this and think it's long overdue. And so continue to, proliferate everything about it. And if you love it, let us know. If you hate it, thanks so much. We'll look forward to our next episode next week. Enjoy it. Life is short, and score goals, everybody.